Before I finish my Blitz journey, I've decided to catch up with an old mate of mine from Liverpool's comedy circuit, Stan Boardman. I've known Stan for nearly 50 years, and he's always good for a bit of banter and a few old jokes.
Well, I started in the MAA club in Shield Road.
You know, it's funny. We're about the same age and we were both brought up during the war, just a mile or so apart, and yet we've never spoken to each other about it. That means I've never heard his incredible story until today.
This is where my mum's house was. And see that tree?
Yeah.
That's probably was in our front room, that tree. Who'd ever thought that there'd be a tree where you live? And I wish that this would have been here when I was a lad.
Oh, right, yeah.
I would have loved it. Just round the corner here, it was Morley Street, and there was a shelter, a communal shelter, and everybody in the street, when they heard the sirens going, they'd all rush out the houses. Gives me the creeps, even now when I hear the fire sirens from the local fire station. Them days, they used to say the Germans were coming. And I had I was being babysit by a girl called Mary Munro. My mother used to tell me about her. And we ran to the thing, and she sat me on her knee. My mother was there, sitting on like stools, and it was pitch black and dark. She had a baby on her knee, our Ada, and Tommy, my brother, was sitting next to him. On that fateful night, the Germans did come, and they bombed Liverpool. And all the shelter was blown up, and all the people in the shelter were either killed or injured. And I found out, my mother told me when I was a little bit older, that the girl who I was sitting on in a Mary Munro, she was killed, 14. And all her family sat on that side of the shelter. They were all killed. And my brother, Tommy, he lost his life as well. So the bricks and everything must have hit him on the head. I woke up next morning on the side of the road here on a slate, and the morning was just coming up. I could smell the burning grit in my teeth. And every time I feel a bit of grit in my teeth, it reminds me of that night. And my Uncle Arthur, he came down, because he only lived up there. He was 16, 17, and he came over and he found me in the morgue, because the place was just littered with bodies and people were in it. And my brother, and he found my brother, Tommy, who was dead. And he found me. Luckily enough, I wasn't injured, only because Mary Munro must have fell on me and saved my life.
She took the blast, didn't she?
Mary Munro, God bless you. Mary, if you're up there, thank you, love.
She will be, yeah.
Around 4,000 people from Liverpool and its surrounding areas lost their lives during the Blitz, more than anywhere outside London. Like many victims, Stan's family didn't know where Tommy was buried, but a few years ago his sister traced their brother to an unmarked grave in the Kirkdale cemetery.
This is the one here, look at this. It's only a little plaque. We only put it down 4 years ago. All my sisters came around here, said a prayer for Tommy, for Mary Munro, and the rest of the people who were all killed around the Kirkdale area. This here was a trench, and all the people in the street were buried in here. And I bet you there's a lot of relatives don't know that their loved ones have been buried here.
So your daddy was in the army while all this was going on?
My dad was in the Royal Artillery. He was in Woolwich in London, so he was protecting London. And I often wonder and think what it would have been like for him. His house is gone, his family's gone, the streets have gone, and your son's been killed. What it was like for him that day to get back to Liverpool on leave, and to come on a train which probably took him hours and hours and hours, and for him to sit on that train wondering what he's going to expect.
Everything going through his mind.
Was he finished then with the war?
Well, the sad thing about it was he stayed. He got 2 weeks compassionate leave to get his family housed and homed and get my brother buried, and he was 3 days over his leave. So then the police came, they arrested him, took him to jail in Liverpool, and just for staying 3 days over his leave.
That's scandalous. That's scandalous.
So he had to do a stint, even though
He'd lost.
he's lost his house, he's lost his son, and
Nearly lost his wife.
nearly lost his wife, nearly lost me. And he was a very quiet man. Never spoke about the war, never spoke about the air raids, never spoke about Tommy. Nothing.
Couldn't do it, couldn't bear it.
Couldn't bear to talk about it. I think a lot of people couldn't talk about the war. Bring back bad memories.
I thought I knew my city. I thought I knew my friends. But I've learned so much on this journey. I'm not sure I'll ever look at my home in the same way again. And as I take to the sky for the last time, I can see how much Liverpool has changed, how much rebuilding and regeneration has gone on over the years. But something that hasn't altered at all is the spirit and the character of those below.
I've always been proud of the people of Liverpool. In fact, I have the honour of being a freeman of the city, and being up here now, I owe them so much. They've gave me this honour, and it should be the other way round. It's awful to know what went on, and it must have destroyed families for generations, talking about their lost ones and those who never seen their parents again, or their fathers again, or their sons again. But there's thousands and thousands of unsung heroes. The ARP wardens, the nurses, the fellas patrolling the streets, the way they banded together, the way they kept the morale up, the way they made sure the children went to school. Everyone, thousands and thousands of unsung heroes out there. And sometimes we forget, sometimes we tend to forget about them. But being up here now just gives me a little, it makes me feel quite emotional. It's all so bloody futile, wasn't it? Hey. They were doing what they were told to do, and the fear and the horror and the sad stories. There must be as many in Germany as there are here in Dresden and other places like that. So while it's been a wonderful experience for me, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to do it again.
That experience I've just had has made me feel so humble. They talk about the bulldog breed. There's never been a truer expression made. They must have all had that bulldog spirit. They got Liverpool through, and they got Great Britain through, and thank God for that. I can't praise them enough.
Dear Lord,